I'm looking for Ray Finkel and a clean pair of shorts.
Alright, hello everybody, this is Worf 26, and I'm here to bring you my movie review for the film Ace Ventura, Pet Detective. And for me, it's one of my favorite comedies of all time. It's just such a cool movie. Like, Jim Carrey just plays the role so well, and to me, it's one of his better films, you know, and I'd say it was his breakthrough film for sure, and I also find that with the movie itself, it introduced a new way for goofy comedies to really be like the forefront for a lot of 90s movies anyway, but I'm going to touch on a few things in this movie review, some cool facts, the actual information surrounding the film.
Take care now. Bye-bye then.
Okay, now for the cool facts part of this movie review, and there are quite a few facts that I had found out that were, you know, pretty interesting, I thought anyway. But before we get into that, I do want to touch on the film itself first. Ace Ventura came out in 1993, and it centers around a detective who specializes in missing animal cases. And the premise is quite silly, really. And I don't really think anyone else could have pulled off the role as well as Jim Carrey had. That's just my opinion. But anyway, Jim Carrey portrays Ace Ventura, and he's in search of the missing mascot for the Miami Dolphins, and it's a dolphin named Snowflake. And now to that end, we're going to start going on about some of the cool facts that surround the film. So, first off, the film was actually supposed to have the main role go to Rick Moranis instead of Jim Carrey. So imagine how different of a film it would have been if it was Rick Moranis, if you can picture that. Alright, so a few other cool facts surrounding the film. The actor and rapper Tone Loc was in the film, and at the time he was almost as big of a star as Jim Carrey, and he actually had a bigger salary at one point until Jim Carrey renegotiated, so that's interesting to note. Now, Tone Loc, obviously known for his rap more than his acting, I would say. He was, you know, pretty popular at the time, and was almost as big of a star as Jim Carrey, so that's interesting to note. Also, the actress Lauren Holly auditioned for the role of Melissa, which we know eventually went to Courtney Cox. Now, we all know, well, most of us know, that Lauren Holly and Jim Carrey were in the film Dumb and Dumber, which is probably, in my opinion, Jim Carrey's best film ever. But then he had married Lauren Holly after the production of Dumb and Dumber shortly thereafter. So that's another interesting note to know. And there's actually talks about a remake happening. Now, there's also a sequel, which was actually quite funny, I thought. But the talks of a remake happening, I don't know. I don't think Jim Carrey would be in it, and I doubt it would be even close to as good as it is, the original anyway. But that's just the cool facts part of my video, and next we're going to go on to the review itself.
Do not go in there. Woo!
So now to touch on the film itself, Ace Ventura, Pet Detective. It was a film released in 1993, and it centers around a detective that specializes in missing animal cases. Now, in the film, Jim Carrey portrays Ace Ventura, and he's down on his luck. He hasn't had a lot of good fortune with some of his cases lately. So then he stumbles across a case that involves the Miami Dolphins because they are missing their mascot, Snowflake the dolphin. So now he's put on the mission to find the kidnappers of their mascot. And it has a great cast. It has Dan Marino, Jim Carrey, Courtney Cox, Sean Young, and Tone Loc. And the film itself is quite funny, I think, in my opinion. It's not like an amazing movie, but it is quite good. And it's one of Jim Carrey's best films. I don't want to go on too much about it, but there's definitely a lot of different things that go on in the film that, you know, just show like the acting chops that Jim Carrey has. Like his comedic timing is very well shown here in this film itself. And there's actually a sequel to Ace Ventura, and it wasn't too bad either. I thought it was quite good. You know, and to go on about the film itself again, there's there's a few scenes involving some you know, football players from the 90s and 80s that were quite hysterical. It shows Jim Carrey trying to chase them down to find out, you know, which one is actually one of the kidnappers. In the film itself, you see a lot of cameos from football players, so that's interesting to note. Also, there's a surprise ending to the film itself, and it's a very, very strange twist. But when you do find out like how it unfolds, it's quite hysterical. But that's my film review for Ace Ventura. And now for the last part of the film review, I'm going to give my verdict for Ace Ventura, Pet Detective.
I have exorcised the demons. This house is clear.
Okay, so now for Ace Ventura, Pet Detective, the verdict I'm going to give this film, just because of the nostalgia that I have watching this film, and just because it's still something I can come back to and watch 24 years later, it's a really good film. I mean, in the comedy genre, definitely it's one of the standouts for me in terms of like films that really remind me of what the 90s were like in terms of like good movies, especially comedies. But if I'm to give this film, I guess, a rating out of 5, I'm definitely going to give it a 4 out of 5. It's that good. It's a really good film. It's one of Jim Carrey's best films, as I had mentioned earlier. And as I had mentioned earlier, if you've not seen Ace Ventura Pet Detective or Ace Ventura When Nature Calls, which was a sequel, I would recommend going out to see not just the first one, but also the second one. They're pretty good. They're funny movies. So that's my verdict.
Do not go in there. Woo!